So instead, I will take this player out, and then I will take this player out, this player out, and we will go into 9v9 because that, oh, who's this? Because that is now how we're going to play for 9v9. Let's take this. No, that's okay. I don't even have any goalkeepers on today. All right. Then we'll give this. Okay. So we're going to work through some different situations. But essentially, what I want us to understand is what we've been doing a lot of, which is working on triangles. And we've been doing a lot of 3v2s. Yeah, that's fine. I'll just erase that here. We've been doing a lot of 3v2s, and I'm going to show you why that is. I don't know how I feel about these colors. There's just not more colors. Oh, no, we're good. Okay. So let's start with the building out of the back. But first, let's understand the concepts because the concepts are the most important. There's the wide space. There's the half space. There's the center space, which we can actually divide into two. And then we have the same thing on the other side, which would be the center space, the half space. Let's put them up here so we can always have a reference point. Then into the wide space there. Excellent. Just like that. Now, these lines that we're making are one from the 18-yard box. So the 18-yard box that goes down is going to be the wide space. And then the 6-yard box, usually it goes to the half circle. So theoretically, it should be like this. That's usually what that looks like. But just to keep straight lines straight. And that's going to create our half space. And then within that circle that we have in the middle, that encompasses our center space. So actually, let's do it just so we're a little bit more accurate. All right, like that. And then this like that. So if you're ever in the middle of a game and you're like, I don't know where the half space is, or I don't know where this space is, you can use these lines as reference points. Okay. So either here, 18-yard box, the edge, or the 6-yard box. And that when we go outdoors, that's how I set up the field. So you'll always see these reference points there. Okay. I will, though, however, no, we actually do need to keep that. Now, when we're working in this shape, the shape itself is a 3-4-1. That's the shape we're playing in. Okay. But just like every formation that they have in the professional game, there are really four situations in soccer. The first one is when we have possession. The second one is losing possession. The second one is no possession. The third one is gaining possession. And then the fourth one is having possession. So those are the four different situations. And for us at this stage, we are going to have two different formations, and they're going to be based off either being in possession or not being in possession. So when we have the ball, when we don't have the ball, we're going to be in this 3-4-1 shape. When we do have the ball, we're going to change it up and we're going to be in this 2-1-4-1 shape. And this is now our center defensive. Why isn't it? Oh, whoops. That's why. This is our center defensive midfielder. Okay. When we have that ball. And what we're really looking to create with everything is different triangles so that we have clues and triggers to let us know when we should be moving. Okay. So let's go through each player and we'll use this cool circle thing. And by circle thing, I mean shaded circle. And we're going to focus on each player and we're going to know what to do when that player has the ball. Okay. So the goalkeeper has the ball. We're now looking to create our first triangle. And to do that, we have this. And simply put, the top of the triangles are going to always be two players, while the bottom of the triangle is always going to be one player. And the top of the triangle, when the bottom of the triangle player is receiving the ball, not when they have it, their job is to create a passing lane. Oh, that's right. Okay. And whatever that passing lane looks like doesn't really matter. It can be support, right? Or it can just be here. And what this depends on is the opponent. And Jeffrey, I want you to be paying close attention because this is for you. And if we are playing against the same thing, which would be a 3-1 4, sorry, a 2, oops, a 2-1 4-1, we can see that that advantage lies in the back. So it should be very simple for us to keep possession. And the only other situation that would happen is that the midfielders decide to press. And if they do, that makes it very easy for us because all the goalkeeper would have to do is just get it to the wingers, and then we're off incredibly fast. Okay. So the ball starts with the goalkeeper. As that ball is, oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, no, I was right. As that ball is traveling to the defender, we can now look at the triangles that we are creating. And the triangles that we are creating when we have that possession, oops, is here. And what you'll be able to see is this is the reason that we are doing the 3v2, because if we stop it here, that's what we're going to be facing. And this player's probably going to be pressing. So again, as that ball is traveling, it is that player's, the top of the triangle's job to find a passing lane. And the good thing is this is what it looks like at every age group. So this is our now 2-3-1, right? Our two defenders, our three midfielders, and our one forward. Or this could be our shape with our 4-3-3, which is our fullback, defender, defenders, fullback, center, defensive, mid, right? Attacking mid, forward, and then we're just missing the wingers. But this buildup looks exactly the same, right? So this would be Jeffrey's position or Matthew's position, and you have the same idea of when this player receives it, we have to get ready. Okay. And the idea here is that as this player now receives the ball, then we have a different triangle, and it would be these two. And it is their job to get open. And the big question is, what do we do before we receive that ball if I'm this player as that ball is traveling? And now I'm looking for answers. Yeah, go ahead.
Scan.
Scan for
A passing lane.
Space.
To
An
see
open player?
Which
see
open
where the
players?
The open players in your triangle?
The open players in the triangle, that's number one. So that's one thing I'm scanning for. What else am I scanning for?
A defender if they're coming?
Yeah, if a defender's coming. Now, in this position here, this is what I normally see, right? I've seen this from Jeffrey. I've seen this from Matthew, from CN, from Felipe. And what's wrong with this position? Look at specifically the player. I don't know if I can make that bigger. Oh, nope, that didn't work at all. I think that made things worse. Okay. Maybe we get, okay, here we go. Oh, maybe if I do that. Oh, look at that. Okay. I can't see the players at all, but it made this bigger. So tell me what's wrong with this player. Okay.
The player isn't facing the front?
You are very, very close. Very, very close. So sorry, we've done this, and now we're doing this. Okay, you are very close, Eduardo. Very, very close. Who can kind of elaborate on what he's saying?
What did he say?
The player has his back on the top of the triangle?
Yeah, he's got his back to where we want to play. So instead of that, I do have to make this a little bit bigger so I can see. What we want to do, I do have to make it bigger so I can see them, is we want to have an open body shape. That's not the right player. Let's see here. Okay. Is this it? Nope. All these different players. But I'm going to do something different. No, I'm not. That's not going to work. I don't really see it. Maybe there? Kind of. Essentially, what we want to do is if, let's say, this player comes and that's kind of it, is we want to have our body open this way. Okay. And what we're thinking here is, can I get any of these players the ball? And what I'm looking at as well is which side the player's coming from. Because if the player, oh, there it is. It was at the top the whole time. Kind of that way. I would open up that, I would open up this leg a little bit more, but I think that's pretty good. Okay. We've got our back towards the sideline. That's really what I'm looking for, the back towards the sideline. And what we're looking for is if this player comes from here and he's now cutting off, and we're looking at these two, are these guys open?
No.
So what do we do if they're not open? What would you do here, Jeffrey, if you got that ball?
Turn.
Turn. What if you got the pass over here? What would you do?
I might play back.
To
The center back.
which one? Left or right?
The left
Yeah.
one.
Well, it came from the left. So you want to go back to the left? If it came from this side.
Switch it to the right.
Yeah, switch it to that other side, right? So that's what we would do in that situation. Now, if the goal for me is to completely turn and face forward, what's another thing that I could do to allow my body shape to end up here? So that I'm facing the whole thing.
You could drop back so the defender isn't really close to you?
I can drop back, and as I drop back, I can open my body shape this way. Does that make sense? And then now that ball comes across, and now we can better see. We can always pass back if we're in trouble. Okay. So that's how we get that ball from here to there. Now, the goal for any one of our attacks is to get that ball into the half space. Our wingers are really fast. So that ball, as that ball is coming in here, oopsies, our white players who are facing the wrong way. 1, 2. Let's erase this guy because body shape is key. Are dropping into the space. And as they're dropping in, what happens to these guys? What do they do?
They drop
If they drop, where's the space?
where they were.
Okay, which is the
Half space?
half space. Is there anyone here though?
No.
So what lane does that open?
The wide space for the winger?
The wide space for the winger. Boom. And that is how we get the ball from here into the other person, the other team's half. And just like we did in indoor, when we received that, we are now outnumbered. Okay. Especially if they play the way that we do. Okay. 3v2. Okay. So once we get into zone 3, then we can stop and then reset. And we got to make sure that the defenders are pushing up into zone 2 as soon as that ball goes into zone 2. And then everyone is pushing into zone 3 as soon as that ball gets into zone 3. Does that make sense? Yes. Yes, confirmation.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I do want to go over defending really quickly, because it is really important. We are going to go into 11v11. This is, I know everyone's here, but this is mainly for Jeffrey. So I apologize for that. But this is something very important. And then I think, Matthew, you'll get a lot out of this as well. And I'm actually just going to clear everything so that we can redo it. We will have 2 teams. Let's have the black team. And they're going to attack in what is the most popular way, which is a 4-3-3. All right. And I just want to show you this just so this makes sense. If we divide the halves, what you should see is 2 players per a half space. Okay. 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2 as well. Okay. So that's really what we're looking at from that point of view. There, so on and so forth. Does that make sense? Good. Now, it's unfortunate that there are no goalkeepers on the call today, but that's okay. So essentially, we want to hold the line. And then we are going to be red. That's not red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So I know this looks a little bit confusing, but just stay with me here. Okay. That's fine for now. Just so we can make it simple to understand here. So the ball is going to be on one side, as it always is. And we're going to have them attack from that side. So let's say they're going to be attacking from the left side today, which obviously then makes the left side the strong side. What we have to talk about now is how to make sure that we don't get scored on. Okay. Now, in the 9v9, these two players are the wingers in that middle four. This right here is our center defensive mid. Now, our center defensive mid has options. What we want usually Matthew to do, or CN, or whoever's playing that position, is to drop back to create this back three. However, we do have other options. And these other options are actually quite cool. And this is where we want Jeffrey to be. Okay, our center defensive mid. When this ball drops into here, which could be from a situation like that. Okay, let's get played here. Let's push in. Let's make sure we all understand our position. Let's get them into our position, which is an inverted. There. Let's invert back five. Okay. This is the situation that if they were a good team, that they would play. Okay, so this is her. Uh-oh. Let's see back here. This is our attacking mid, which drops down to create this with our, this is our, okay. So this is, let me make this easier for us to understand. One, two. So these are our midfielders, okay? Just like that. Now, one school of thought is that our midfielders get into a line. And then we've create kind of this three, and we create a 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3 shape, which is what our formation shape is. The problem with that is if we count these players and us, what are the number of blacks that we have here?
5.
Versus how many reds?
4.
4.
Is that good?
No.
Good. So that's bad news. And that's not something that we want. So instead, when we look at this, how many blacks do we have?
5.
How many of our players do we have?
4.
Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. Do we have an advantage here?
No.
So we want an advantage. So here's what we're going to do, Jeffrey. When that ball is on this side, Jeffrey comes in between our winger and our attacking midfield. And what we're even looking to do is that Jeffrey can drop into this back line. And now what we have on this side is really great. 1, 2, 3 against 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Over here, our forward picks up, shift over. And then now this looks great. Okay. So let's talk about how we did that. Now we can start adding the lines in to make this make more sense. Okay, now this only works if we're talking. So Jeffrey, you have to be very vocal on defense. And this is what we're going to work on really this week. We don't have practice on Wednesday. So Tuesday, which is normally 1v1, is going to change just for this week. So let's get into our positions here. You know what? Let's just play it this way. So this is our attacking formation, right? And again, if we look and stop, what we should see is that there are 2 players in every half space. Okay. And let's open this up so we can see here. Hold on. One sec. Elia's messaging me. Photo. Academy.com. Okay. Good. So here's our position. Okay, I do want to actually open up a new tab here so that I can make this a little bit more clear. And then let's just get rid of the blacks for now, just so we can see ourselves a little bit more clearly. So this is our shape when we're attacking. The most important thing that we have to understand is when we lose the ball, we get
Small.
small. So everyone shifts in to their half space. So these players are in the wide space. They shift into the edge of their wide space, shift into the half space, shift into the half space, shift in, shift in. And this is obviously when the ball's in the middle, shift in and shift in. And that's what we're looking at to start with. Now, what we think about is the players in the wide space. They drop one line. Like that because okay. So they drop one line. So what does that mean? The forward players, the players in the wide space, remember, wide space, drop to the midfielder position. The players in the wide space that we call fullbacks drop into the defensive position. And then now our center defensive mid drops in between. And we have a 4-1-4-1 shape. As that ball goes into the wide space, now everyone shifts one half space. Obviously, can't shift because you're already in the wide space. But this player edge into half space, half space, half space, half space, half space. And now what we see is this gap of half spaces, right? And this is the half space and the center space. So because we have these 2 half spaces and there is no one there, our center defensive midfield drops in, whoops, to take that spot. That's one option. The other option is that the center defender doesn't drop, which is great. I mean, doesn't shift. They stay to cover that center. And then our center defensive midfield, whose offensive responsibilities are usually in this triangle, right? Shifts over between them. and then can drop back here as well. And this is how we create that back 5. Does that make sense? And then now is how we've created this, right? So drop back. This player would drop back, shift over. Sorry, let's drop all the wingers first. Drop, drop, and sorry, in as well. Everyone comes in there. And since that ball's on that strong side, we go from one side to the other side of our half space. Weak side shifts over one half space. And then now our center defensive mid shifts. And if you look back, Jeffrey, and you decide that gap is way too big, instead of shifting, you can just drop. But if you look back and you go, well, this actually looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. We're marked 2-1. I don't think he's going to be able to cross. And even if they do, we can shift over pretty quick. Then now I'm going to come in and stay on my line, shift over. And now this is more of an attacking defensive position. Attacking defensive. We want to win that ball high versus here where we want to defend back a little bit more. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Now, we can also talk about keeping it consistent. So what do I mean by consistent? If we look at it, we see that the forward line is in front of the attacking midfield line. The fullback is in line with the defensive mid. So keeping it consistent would be fullback drops back, fullback drops back, center defensive mid drops back, winger attacking mids drop back, and wingers drop back. But we keep this shape here. That's what we could look like. And I would say the forward can drop back as well. Right? So we still have our back 5, 2, and our 3. Now, since most of us here are playing that that 3-4-1, we can have the same principle, right? We can suggest that everyone gets small into their half space when the ball's in the center space. And when that ball goes into the wide space, we can either press with the forward, right? Or we can take that concept of back, back, shift, and attack, and attack. Now, what do you think this shape depends on? Why would I decide to come back versus shifting? Let's see if you can figure this one out. When would I need to drop back versus when would I need to just shift over? It's a tough question. It's a very tough question. Take a stab at it. Go for it. Try it. Who's going to be brave?
If there are too many attacking players on our back line.
Oh, okay. So let's say we are playing the black team and we are playing against a 3, 4-1. Do you think that it makes sense for me to shift over instead of coming back?
Yes.
Why?
Because we have 2 players on that person in the middle.
We have 4 players back here against 1. Do we need 4 players against 1?
No.
No. The rule for the defense is to always have 1 player more than the attackers. So in this situation, not only can Matthew shift, but we can actually push the winger up and then over. And then now we're in a really good spot, right? 2, 1. What if instead of them playing a shape of a 3-4-1, they play a 4, let's say a 2-4-2? What do you think would be a really good idea now? Sorry, I didn't hear that. Say it again. What do you think? What should we do?
The fullback on the right shifts in. The center defensive also shifts, so the winger can press.
Aha. And if that's the case, what should the center defensive mid do? What should you do here, Matthew? Or Jeffrey? What would you do here? One of you. Come on. Jeffrey or Matthew? Still on the call.
Maybe go down.
So if you go down, this guy's gone up. What do our numbers look like here? How many against how many?
4 against
4 against 2.
How many defenders do we want more than attackers?
1 more.
Yeah. So do you need to be there?
Yeah.
Really? What happens if you leave? How many are we?
But don't they have 2?
And how many do we have?
If I'm there 4.
And how many do we need?
1 extra on every player.
Now, not every player, sorry, just 1 extra. So if they have 2 forwards, we need 3 defenders.
Also, no. Oh.
So no, that's correct. Yeah. Now the concept, which is the most interesting concept in soccer and how we get to what's called total soccer, is the ability to understand this inside the game. And we can do this not only for defense, but for attack. And this is why formations can very quickly change. Because if we are playing this this 3-4-1 shape here, okay, and we are playing against, let's play against the same. So let's say a 3-4-1. Sorry, that's bothering me. What's our advantage here?
4 against 1.
4 against 1, that's too easy. And if we look up here, it's 1 against 1. So instead of this, realizing that all we need is 2 more, the most, right? I'm even okay with one more, but two more is the ideal. We can now push him up. And now what we've created is an advantage up here. And the ability to understand this concept versus now they're playing a 4-4-2, a 2-4-2. What would this player now do?
Drop back.
Drop back, probably to give us a little bit more help so we can have that too. And if we're playing in a 4-3-3 formation, it's the exact same thing. The ability to understand when the fullback pushes up and the fullback stays back to create a back 3, or Jeffrey comes back to create a back 4, right? Or keeping this player up and Jeffrey dropping in, pushing these two wide now, creates a 4v2. And this is the relationship that we have to start to think about in the game, which is the relationship of how many players are on us versus how many players we have, right? So how many attackers versus defenders that we have. And that's really it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.